Hey there, everybody. This is James, and we are back with another collecting topic today, which is what is the better buy this year in 2026, Rolex or Omega? Let's dive into that today because I want you to know and love your watches. So, there's a lot to talk about with either of these two brands, but we're going to start with Rolex first, just because they do have the crown after all. Now, here you can see my beloved Sky-Dweller. I've had this watch for over 5 years now, and it does not get old for me, ever. It's got a beautiful blue dial and a fluted bezel, which I really like. It's got a strong design language that balances Rolex's well-known identity with something unique, the technology in this watch. And it also has value retention that is truly unmatched. The GMT and the annual calendar and something like this is also a big selling point for me. So those are the advantages of Rolex that we're going to talk about today. So let's start with point one that I mentioned, which is the design of Rolex. The fluted bezel, like you can see on this watch, is known from airports to tennis courts globally. And when you think of a watch that brings elegance and function together, very often it's going to be your sub, your Daytona, your GMT, your Datejust. There's so many Rolex models that marry these two things together perfectly. And that leads us into point two, which is the brand identity that you get with Rolex. Culturally today, there is such an obsession about what celebrity was seen wearing the latest release from Rolex, and it's almost silly how many Instagram channels there are that post that type of content. Not mine, but they're out there. And that has created such a buzz around Rolex over the past several years, even in seeing the dial of the watch by itself with no text on it. You would absolutely know it's a Rolex watch and not something else. You're not going to get confused about it. Now, to have a product become that recognizable speaks to just how widespread their influence and their identity has become in our culture today. And that leads into point three, which is the value retention that you do get with Rolex. The supply and demand of Rolex, to an extent, has been mismatched over the past decade or so, with some models becoming nearly impossible to get or forcing you to pay multiples of retail to get one. And that is one of the reasons why, not in all cases, but many, Rolex models do tend to appreciate on the secondary market. Whereas with many brands, the watches actually go down in value once purchased new. Now, that's not the case with Rolex at all. You can't argue with the market because that always means that there are customers willing to pay those above retail prices. And that matters a lot. And if you agree, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's shift gears and move to Omega. So this is the Omega Seamaster Ploprof Summer Blue. And of all the watches in Omega's catalog, this is probably the most extreme version of a diver in existence. I've had several Omegas. This is my favorite by far. And these things are capable of handling anything from a whole lot of water to a tough day on the job. And the use and functionality of Omega is unsurpassed. And the important part about that is you're getting all of that at such a reasonable price point in comparison that it makes the value of Omega nearly impossible to beat, especially when you're talking about pre-owned. And with the number of options that they offer on the market, there is something in the catalog truly for everyone. So let's dive into these points on Omega. The first one is, again, kind of the functionality or usability. So whether you're looking at an Aquaterra, a Seamaster Pro 300 meter, a Ploprof like this, or a DeVille, the use cases for these watches are really endless. And I think a big differentiator with Rolex is that people generally aren't afraid to put wear on Omega watches. You know, they don't treat Omegas like delicate timepieces that they should keep in a safe because they're worried about the condition. They wear these things. And that willingness to wear them, really wear them, along with, I think, a heavier supply in many cases, is what has made them such a great value. And that is point number 2. If you're looking for a luxury watch and you've got 4 to 5K that you want to spend, you want to get into something that's truly an excellent timepiece that you can wear in any scenario. And that's exactly what you get with Omega. In comparison to Rolex, you can easily spend half the amount of money buying an Omega and get a piece that's super accurate with the master chronometer certification that Omega has, and that's water resistant for more than you'll ever need, especially in a case like this. And yes, it can take a beating. So you'll have gotten a great watch and probably have some money left in your budget besides. Well, what do you do with that extra money? Well, one thing you could do, honestly, is buy another Omega, and that is point 3, which is that Omega's different options, it's not just about their various model lines that I mentioned earlier, but it's also the fact that they have different colors, different sizes, different bracelet and strap options, all within the same model lines. So even if you take something like an Aquaterra, which is one of my favorite models in the Omega catalog, you can get one in blue, you can get one in white, you can get it in silver and black, all with a steel case, but then you can still stop and decide, you know what, do I want a bracelet like this? Maybe a regular bracelet, a shark mesh bracelet? Do I want a strap? Or maybe I go two-toned. Maybe I go all precious metal. You have all those options. And then if you want, say, a DeVille Trésor model, you've got your sports and your dress watch covered between those two watches. I don't know what else you need. So at the end of the day, it's clear that I have pretty strong positive thoughts and feelings for both of these brands because clearly I own both. And I do wear them both regularly. And I do think there's value in both. On paper, though, I would absolutely say that Omega is the much smarter value buy. And that matters too. You'll lose nothing in terms of performance with an Omega. And like I say, you'll spend probably about half the money to get a similar watch to what you could get at Rolex. Now, that being said, ask any non-watch enthusiast what they know to be a luxury watch brand, and you're probably going to get one answer, and that's Rolex. Now, this hobby is not about, impressing your non-watch enthusiast friends, or even the enthusiast ones for that matter. But what it is about is having watches that you know and love and never want to take off the wrist. So, what do you think? I'm curious to get your thoughts. Which brand do you think is a better buy in 2026? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for stopping by, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.